Hey there, welcome to Takeaway with Sam Oches, a podcast from Nation's Restaurant News. I am Sam Oches, editor-in-chief here at NRN, and this is the show where I offer you an all-access pass to the restaurant industry's most influential decision makers. This week, I'm talking with Curt Skallerup. He is the founder and CEO of the Eatertainment company, Larks Entertainment. Curt was part of the first wave of Eatertainment, having founded and scaled Altitude Trampoline Park over a decade ago. Now he's back with Larks, which is preparing to launch several active entertainment concepts featuring everything from shuffleboard to putt to obstacle courses that franchisees can pick and choose to build out their own Eatertainment footprints. Curt joined the podcast to talk about the second wave of Eatertainment and how it could go from trend and novelty to social mainstay in markets both big and small. In this conversation, you'll learn more about the concept of modular franchising and why it could be key to Eatertainment's growth, how value could play a big role in the next Eatertainment wave, and why there's room for everybody in this increasingly competitive category. Jumping now into my interview with Curt Skallerup, the founder and CEO of Larks Entertainment. Also, don't forget to stick around after the interview as I will share my 5 takeaways from this discussion, actionable insights that you can take with you on the go. For generations, Butterball has delivered only quality American-grown turkey. They provide products that please patrons while delivering versatility to operators in all segments. But Butterball doesn't stop there. As an organization, they're always looking for ways to empower operators to be at their best. From recipes that inspire culinary creativity to insights and trends that can help drive business decisions, it's all at butterballfoodservice.com. Okay, Curt Skallerup, the CEO and founder of Larks Entertainment. Curt, thanks for joining me today. I'm excited to talk about this new venture you have. And before we get into Larks Entertainment, tell us about your career, because I know you've been in this industry for a long time. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you came from.
Oh, thanks, Sam. I appreciate taking your time. Hey, so I've been in this industry for about 12 years now. And oddly enough, I was a corporate guy for 30 years and came out of it, ran a couple of things, and then got into the family entertainment business under Altitude Trampoline Park back in 2012. I think we opened our first one in 2013. And fortunately, we grew to the second largest in that little industry, in the trampoline industry. And we grew to 8 countries and just under 100 facilities. And really kind of liked the whole pattern. So we'll talk a little bit later, I think, talked about franchising in a box, and we did everything that we could for the franchisee, accounting and marketing and all that. And then launched another company called Altitude H2O, which was trampolines on water, and then several other things, and then got into the community, the franchise world, and it's been quite an adventure.
Seems to me like you guys probably struck while the iron was hot, because 12 years ago at that time, trampoline parks, I mean, that was about the time they kind of came into their own as an industry, right?
Yeah, Sam, it's funny you mentioned that. Is that when we got in, we were one of the first 30 trampoline parks. We opened our first in Dallas, Fort Worth. And my partner, Jeff Rutten, and I, we got into it, opened one, and he was after me for a year to open one up, and I didn't understand the concept of trampolines. How do you monetize? How do you make money on it? And it was quite different for me. A year later, we got back together. We flew down to somewhere in Florida and looked at it and decided to open one up. And first year we opened up. First 2 years we opened up 4, and then the third year 15, and 18, and 38. I think we opened it in our 2018, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and now, as we were talking before we hit record, I'm in Columbus. I have trampoline parks all around the city, all around me. Obviously, is taken off, and what we're here to talk about today is your next venture with Larks Entertainment, because Eatertainment has suddenly become the hottest thing in food service for probably a lot of reasons we can get into. But tell me about Larks. How did this opportunity come up? Why did you want to jump back into this game?
Well, it's funny. I always wanted to do more, and out of respect for the people, we sold our company to a private equity firm, and a good group. They own restaurants and different things. And when we got into them, there was more ideas that we wanted to go, and they took what we had and went on. This was one of the things that we were thinking about to get into bigger things, more adult things, and how to mix kids and adults, and uh, and after our time period left from not being able to do a lot due to non-competes and different things, we got into this Larks Entertainment. And one of the things that was really the cornerstone to this was and I'll try to be brief, but in trampoline parks, the franchisee or your partner had to have great wealth to be able to have the opportunity to open up a facility up to $1 million plus, and it takes $3 million. I'm broad brushing it, but $3 million
Sure.
to build a trampoline park, and that's a very small part of the world. When we would go to franchise shows, we talked to 100 people, and only five could afford to open a trampoline park. So my mind clicked, and I said, "How do we get more people to do more things?" Hence, Larks. We have the ability to be modular franchising, which allows us to go to people that might have a net worth of 250,000, much less. Our partners in real estate love us because we can be in 15,000 square feet to 50,000 square feet. So it ticks a lot of boxes, checks a lot of boxes, if that makes any sense, Sam.
Absolutely. And modular franchising, I love that term because this is so new to me. And this it feels a little bit like choose your own adventure as a franchisee. You're within sort of a certain set of choices, of course, but you're designing what your concept ultimately is going to be. Walk us through what some of those choices are.
Yeah, Sam, you hit the nail on the head. It really is a menu of options. You walk in, you get first off, every Larks will come with a some type of food, not a restaurant, but food place. We're going to have a liquor, so we didn't have that in the past, but we'll have liquor, and we're going to have adult and children's arcades. So we're going to have that will come in every one of them, and then we're going to have four other things. We're going to have shuffleboard. We're going to have miniature golf, the high tech miniature golf. We're going to have things called blasters, which is basically a Nerf adventure that we're going to have the ability to go. It's a very high-bred Nerf adventure. There's a lot of ones out there that aren't like what we're going for. And then there's going to be an obstacle course that we're going to get into that people, everything that we do will be competitive. We've got some surprise things that are coming up that maybe if we ever do another podcast that we'll announce, but there's a lot of other levels of entertainment, competitive socializing we're adding to the package, and those will be soon named soon. So
Competitive socializing, another term that I really enjoy. I'm going to have to add that to my vocabulary. So the child in me is getting giddy because hearing about this, just I just want to go experience it. But I've talked about on this podcast before. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and so I'm really immersed in this world right now. I've been to a number of 6-year-old birthday parties at trampoline parks, and so it seems tailor made to the family and going out and experiencing these things. I assume that's your core demographic, but tell me a little bit more about what you see. What is the occasion that the Larks concepts are really trying to fulfill?
we're really looking, Sam, for to fill a void that I think is out there today. That we have some great competitors out there, and competition is really what makes us better. I think as much as we can, it's just a strong thing. Get people out there and active, and the active entertainment piece. And the way we look at it is this: is that so many people, only so many people can shop at a Nordstrom's, only so many people shop at the Dillard's, and everybody can shop at a Walmart. We want to make ours price competitive so everybody can enjoy. Just like we referenced that you can have a smaller net worth to be able to be a franchisee. Same thing with this. We want these people coming out 2 or 3 times. Again, Dave and Buster's, great brand. Made all these things are great brands, but we want to be able to be. We don't want people to go out and spend $500 a night. We want them to be able to
Right.
go out and have a great family time with for a couple $100 or $150 with their family. And it can be little kids, middle kids. It can be teenagers. And what's the great thing about a couple of our concepts is the shuffleboard. We're going to have senior leagues where during the day they can come in, and I mean it's quite a range of things. And if you peel back the onion a little bit, the the shuffleboard is coming back with a bang. There's a lot of shuffleboards opening up across the country right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I wanted to talk about that. It does seem like now is another moment. It seems like you're striking while the iron is hot again on sort of a second wave of Eatertainment here. Of course, you have pickleball concepts that are springing up. To your point, shuffleboard, there's been bocce ball, a lot of different concepts springing up around entertaining and competitive socializing, as you say. Why now? What are some of the reasons you think this is something that consumers are hungry for?
Yeah, Sam, it's funny you're hitting a lot of the things you thought I've talked to you before today, but a lot of the things you're hitting is exactly right. Is that when we hit trampoline parks, there's only 30 now. There was at one point over 2,000 in the United States, so there
Wow.
was just a ton of them. The my partner now, Ricardo Deneen, he actually went to a shuffleboard place a few years ago, and I had not been to one yet. And now they're popping up in colleges and different things. There's high end ones, low end ones, and we're going to fill that void. But what I think it is for us is that our goal is to have a no skill concept. Again, not to keep talking about trampolines, but a trampoline is meant for young kids with no athletic ability, for kids that are very athletically talented, but everybody can go jump on a trampoline. All of our concepts have a no skill concept. Anybody can put a stick in their hand and move a puck down. Anybody can putt a ball. Anybody can play our blasters games and play an obstacle course. Whether you score 300 or you score 100, everybody can do it. Hence the reason you can have a much broader volume of people come to visit your venue at a reasonable cost.
Mm-hmm.
That's our core. Is everything is basic. And one more concept is the fact
Yeah.
that a lot of these ninja courses are very successful and very popular. The challenge with that is I'm going to again use a broad break. Only 20% of Americans can hold up their own body weight. So if you go to one of
Yeah.
those things and you're not very athletic, then you're embarrassed. And we don't want that. We want people to go and have a great time, have a quesadilla, which is we're going to be pushing a lot of different quesadillas at our place. And we've got a lot of great partners that have opened many restaurants who are going to have a great uh, bar and grill and different things that way. So we're very excited about all of our touch points.
Curt, I got to tell you, I'm embarrassed to jump on the trampolines because my knees start to give out. My old body is like, what is this? What? I don't remember doing this. It's been too long. But yes, I,
Well,
I appreciate that point.
it's funny you mention that. Is everybody thinks that everyone gets hurt on trampolines, and as a percent of the total market, they don't get hurt as much as what they think they do. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's that.
yeah, it's definitely true. So I've talked to a few folks recently in the full service restaurant business, and it's interesting because Eatertainment has come up as this new competitor, as a something where a family might have once thought to go to a restaurant to grab a pizza. Now they're thinking, well, we want to do more than just sit around the table. We actually want to go experience something. And so I'm curious, what's the competition? What are you competing for? And ultimately, what's the frequency you expect? Because, my family, of course, my kids are still a little young, but we don't go to restaurants too frequently because it's maybe a once a month special kind of thing, right? How do you capitalize on, those occasions that we talked about before to make sure you do have enough frequency to drive revenue?
Uh, Again, Sam, the great question is that we're going to base our I mentioned pricing earlier to be very aggressive. Secondly, we're going to have memberships, a lot of birthday parties, a lot of corporate events, and we're going to fill this thing very similarly through the day. We're going to have things that will be very key toward children. As it gets later, it'll be more adult driven. But at night, you can bring your kids and you can bring everybody, and then they go home. I mean, it's literally going to be a very, very open forum. But again, big birthday, big corporate events, and one of the big thing company outings. And this membership program is going to drive people to get things that they can earn points, a little bit like the airplane, like American Airlines. They've got a great membership program. We've got a program that we'll be announcing shortly that's going to drive people loyalty points, a loyalty point thing that you're going to be able to get things when you come in. Membership program, you're going to be able to get in less for less expense. So our goal is to have our place be a little bit like Cheers. You're going to go there, everyone's going to know your name, you're going to be very friendly. It shouldn't be a once a month thing. It should be a 2 to 3 to 4 time. Hey, we'll just go grab something at Larks. One
Hmm.
last comment on that is that with in my age, you'd go to a bar and you'd meet someone, however that dating process worked back then. Well,
Yeah.
now everyone's swiping left and swiping right, or however that goes. And it's uncomfortable sometimes to meet people. We are now creating, we believe, an environment for that generation to, instead of sitting across the table from somebody and not saying anything, we think they can go out and have an activity and create some stimulate some type of discussion versus just mumbling. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. And I've said this to some friends, which is like, I love going to grab beers with my buddies, but if you feel like you are not in a hugely talkative mood, what do you do to hang out with friends? Eatertainment is perfectly filling that void.
That's right. And we're going to have 3 different levels of games. We're going to have the things that I previously discussed, the shuffleboard, the miniature golf, and the e-blast, all that stuff. We're also going to have a tier 2, the stuff we're going to announce. It's going to be very exciting, kind of a new concept coming out. That's going to be at all, some, if not all, of our facilities. Again, a competitive game that's going to be all lit up and different things,
Mm.
kind of like a game show. And then lastly, we're going to have a things that you're going to be able to be active at the table. There's going to be different little games that you can play, whether they're kids or adults or different things. You'll go to some places that keep you active versus just staring at the menu or something like that. So we're going to have the whole thing should be an experience and very, very much of a entertaining evening as you go out.
All right, so let's talk about some of the limitations here, because there are some. I imagine, first off, regardless of the modular component, which again I love, there's still a cost piece here, which is that build out. I imagine is fairly expensive, and upkeep and maintenance, which I'm sure you could talk to, but also just thinking about space. When you get into cities and looking for real estate, restaurants that are 1,500 square feet, they're having trouble finding space. How do you go find space for some of these big boxes? Tell me how you're sorting through some of these limitations.
Well, one of the things that we've done is that even back in our old concept, we come with we have something called franchising in a box. And if you ever go on our website and look at our FDD, you'll have an understanding. And we do everything for our partners and lean into customers. So we're going to give, if you're looking in Columbus, Ohio, we will go out and pre-look at real estate through our internal real estate people. We have internal construction company. We have finance. We have an operations team. So when you come to us, we are a franchise that is not just, hey, thanks for signing up. Good luck to you. Have a good time. We're immersed in the partnership that we will dig into. Back to your original question about the real estate is that if somebody says I want to be in Columbus or Cleveland or something, we'll say, all right, give us a week. We'll find 10 spots. We'll go look at them. And then we do a demographic study that derives what the MSA or the overreaching market will give us. And clearly kids, teenagers, adults, and elderly people are our market. So if they're doing that and due to the X income, we'll easily be able to do a math equation and tell you how well we'll be able to fit. And we've done that thousands and thousands of times.
Mm, hmm.
Uh, and Sam, one last point to finish that is that we can now not only go into, as I think I mentioned earlier, we can go into a 15,000 square foot space or a 50. We now can go into a Minot, North Dakota, where we couldn't have afforded it before in our other concepts, because we can go into a 15,000 square foot spot where you needed 30.
Hmm.
And the other thing you mentioned is we also can make it just shuffleboard. We can make it a mix between shuffleboard and kids. We can just make it I mean, there's so many menu items that we can do. To your point about the modular franchising, you can mix it up quite a bit.
Yeah. And I imagine too, going into those smaller markets. I mean, because I was going to say, as a limitation, it feels like you need a big market to ensure that frequency of guests to drive revenue. That if to keep the place full, if people are only coming once a month, then you need sort of a bigger market to tailor to. But it sounds like with this modular franchising, you can have a smaller concept in a smaller market, and that it's a wash.
And that's a great point. And I don't know if I answered your original question very well, but let me follow up by saying is it really is the math around volume to a person in Bismarck, North Dakota is something differently in Chicago, Illinois. I can create a great volume of people if I'm in a 100,000 person town and I end up being able to get 200 people in town. I'm killing it. If I'm
Right.
in Chicago, I need 600 people in town, and I'll drive X amount of dollars. So the definition of volume is going to be defined by the town that we go in, which
Yeah.
we've not had that opportunity before.
That makes sense. So going back to real estate and competition, I can tell you one thing about my kids' sock drawers is I've got like 5 different trampoline parks represented in there because they all make me buy their own socks. It drives me crazy. But point being is that, there's one birthday party over at this trampoline park, one birthday party over this trampoline park. And so point is there's a lot of competition in the space, increasingly so. How do you position Larks within the competitive set and ensure you're getting that prime real estate when there's probably a pickleball concept trying to swoop that space up too?
Yeah, Sam, the pickleball's fantastic. I'm a racquetball player myself and do play some pickleball. One of the people I always pushed, hey, why don't you add pickleball to your concepts? And it doesn't fit with us because you're going out for an evening. But pickleball, I'd put our concept right next to a pickleball place.
Mm,
People want to go, they'll go to pickleball, and then they'll go to our place one night. I think an energy packed facility or area is why people go. We'll go there Monday, we'll go there Tuesday, or I'll go this Friday, and then I'll
yeah.
go to your next one. I wouldn't put it next to probably Main Event or a Block or a Dave and Buster's. I think we compete with them too closely. But I think that any type of food restaurant or any type of movie theater, anything, yeah, that's where we want to be. We want to be where people collect, and if you produce and give a good product, people will come.
Yeah.
We're not going to hide and try to be so cute and find the spot, because then we end up waiting for something that may never happen. So we're going to lean in a little bit more, again, I'm all about volume and all about the math. The math will tell you and dictate what where we go.
Seems like cities should have like Eatertainment districts, right? It's like when you've
I'd
got
love
like
that.
an area for your arenas and you've got areas for all the restaurants. So throw a neighborhood out for Eatertainment.
If you can do a podcast and tell municipalities to do that, I'm all in. That'd be
You
fantastic.
heard it here first, cities. If you're working in
That's
city
right.
development, you know what you need to do. All right, so let's get into franchisees because just to merge this over to the restaurant industry, obviously you guys are serving food, but I imagine restaurant franchisees are probably one of your core targets in terms of franchise partners. But walk me through who you're looking for from a franchisee perspective. Who are the best operators for a concept like this?
To be honest with you, what's great about this again is that you can make a monster facility in our concept because it's so unique in that you can have all 4 concepts or one. The person we're looking for a franchisee is somebody that probably is. They're tired of working for the corporation. They're tired of getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning and going until 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever they're doing. We are looking for people that like people. What a concept. We're looking for people that smile more than they grimace. We do a lot of time and effort. And again, we've talked to hundreds and hundreds of franchise partners over the years. We're looking for somebody that generally it's a husband and a wife. It may be a group of people, but usually husband and wife. We like them to be. We like them to just have a zest or kind of that gut feel of fun in their deal, because you're going to be very customer driven. The minute we get the franchise, we need to help them get hundreds and hundreds and thousands of customers around there, and we've got to make sure that they like people. That's kind of hard to interview for, but we're looking for somebody that's in my past. Generally, when we open a franchise, very often they would open a second and perhaps a third. We're happy if they open the one, but we're looking for somebody that really wants to make an impact on hopefully a city, and somebody that wants to do something locally for their community. Again, they can be young, middle-aged. They can be, in the retirement side. We get a lot of that. People are retiring. They said, I'm finally out of corporate. I'm going to open a franchise. Our franchising in the box give them everything to do. Operating manuals, gives you food and everything that they do. And again, we've got some of the highest, in my opinion, food and beverage people working on some of the stuff that we've got behind the scenes.
Yeah. All right. So, Curt, last question for you is what is the potential of this category? Because in some conversations I've had with folks, I think some people see entertainment as being maybe fairly niche. Some people say it as maybe just a trend, maybe a bubble will pop. If we want to talk about it in waves, there was a first wave with trampoline parks. Maybe we're on the second wave. Does this wave crest? Do you see this as being something that will hit a ceiling at some point, or is there more potential to entertainment that I'm not seeing?
I think that the former point than the latter of your points is what'll happen. I think that this is the new wave of how people are going to entertain themselves. Basically, right now, we believe you can sit in your living room and you can compete with somebody in Europe or in Mexico or somewhere. But to be honest with you, you can't sit at home all the time. And we're taking you out of your couch and into our facility to compete with Bob or Lucy or Sue or somebody next to you that you may not have any idea with on a panel of different things you may want to do. Leagues, we're going to have a lot of leagues in our shuffleboard. So you may take, you, Sam, against me, and I've never met you before, but we compete on the shuffleboard or some type of putting tournament. So we're looking to really have something that is going to change things. I believe numbers. Our goal is to have a couple hundred of these in the United States, and we grew pretty quickly in our last franchise concepts, and we're leaning into this one pretty quick. And I think that there is no ceiling to what we can do, and I think we're going to have a lot of people follow us.
Well, it's exciting to watch. Can't wait to see what comes of it. Curt Skallerup, the CEO and founder of Larks Entertainment. Curt, thanks so much for joining today.
Sam, thanks so much for having me.
For generations, Butterball has delivered only quality American-grown turkey. They provide products that please patrons while delivering versatility to operators in all segments. But Butterball doesn't stop there. As an organization, they're always looking for ways to empower operators to be at their best. From recipes that inspire culinary creativity to insights and trends that can help drive business decisions, it's all at butterballfoodservice.com. That was my interview with Curt Skallerup, the founder and CEO of Larks Entertainment. So what should you learn from this interview? Here are my 5 takeaways. My first takeaway is that we are in the midst of Eatertainment's second wave, and it's driven by adults. The first wave of Eatertainment was, well, if you go way, way back, it was Chuck E. Cheese and Dave and Buster's and the arcade. But about a decade ago, you saw the rise in trampoline parks that had mostly a food and beverage component, but nothing quite like what we're seeing in the second wave. This second wave is so focused on adults because it's adding alcohol and much higher quality food and beverage in general. And it's featuring activities like golf and other things that are not as much kid activities, a little bit more adult oriented. Point is, though, the second wave is real and it's happening right now. And there's a good shot that the second wave is happening because of COVID and everybody eager to get out of their house. But in general, as Curt talked about, they want, as he calls it, active entertainment or competitive socializing. I love those terms. People are looking for those things increasingly. They don't just want to sit around a table and talk. They want to get out and engage. My second takeaway is that modular franchising could be key to Eatertainment's growth potential. I like that term, modular franchising, and that idea. Eatertainment, of course, I asked Curt about this, but it's cost prohibitive for a lot of franchisees because we're talking about really big boxes, really expensive builds. It's a big investment from franchisees. So in order to overcome that, Curt talked about this concept of modular franchising where they have, 6, the soon to be more concepts in the Larks Entertainment portfolio that franchisees can choose from and sort of choose their own adventure, build out their own footprint, and take this concept. As he said, they could go from 15,000 square feet up to 50,000 square feet. The choice is essentially theirs. Larks is doing this sort of franchise in a box, as Curt said, where franchisees have many options that can help them control the cost. My third takeaway is that to drive frequency, Eatertainment will need to focus on value. This is another thing that is prohibitive with Eatertainment, and I was curious about is these are expensive activities, and especially if they're expecting any kind of frequency whatsoever, they have to keep costs down. And so Curt talked about this fact that the multiple concepts under the Larks umbrella, it helps them to be able to offer some more value-oriented activities. They want to keep that price down. So if a family goes out, they can not spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I mentioned to him that I might go take my family out only once a month. How do you build a whole successful business if people are only going once a month? At Larks, they want folks to come multiple times per month. And the key to that, again, is controlling costs. And so the other thing is that loyalty is, as he mentioned, a part of this as well. We're talking about loyalty a lot these days. Part of the reason is that loyalty programs give you the perception of value by having tiers and rewards and certain things that behoove you, encourage you, incentivize you to go more frequently. My fourth takeaway is that Eatertainment is adapting to appeal to all generations. Again, I talked about earlier, Eatertainment was started as kind of this kids thing, this family thing, but as Curt talked about, they want to appeal to everybody. The older generations, the younger generations, everybody in between. They want to appeal to people with athletic ability and those without. You shouldn't have to meet certain requirements to go out to an Eatertainment concept. That's key to this category being able to grow. The other thing he talked about, it's great for date nights, it's great for corporate activities, great for, again, family night. They have to check a lot of boxes here, which means they have to make these as universal as possible, which is what Larks is really striving to do. My fifth and final takeaway is that there's room for everyone in the Eatertainment space. Eatertainment's been hot for a little while now, and as I've seen all these concepts springing up from pickleball, shuffleboard, bocce ball, bowling, all of these things. I've wondered, is there room for all of these? How many Eatertainment concepts can we really fit? Can one city have? And as Curt said, they don't mind being around other Eatertainment concepts because you might choose one week and the other one next door next week. I liked this idea. We talked about this idea of Eatertainment districts in cities. I think that's kind of fun, which is if there's a part of the city that you go to and you might go there every Friday night and try something different as far as Eatertainment, that could be an appealing way to welcome all this competition. Point is that as more Eatertainment concepts come into the fold, I think there is a way that it will work where customers won't have overload. There won't be too much saturation. Those are all my takeaways for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to subscribe to Takeaway wherever you listen to podcasts and leave your feedback. You can also email me at sam.oches@informa.com. Thanks again and talk to you next week.